The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Scott, who is also the chair of the House Agricultural Committee, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Waters, for this interesting and much needed hearing. The question before us today is this: how can we on the Financial Services Committee ensure that our investors can both have access to our markets, but also are able to participate in our markets, investing safely? You see, when erroneous and inaccurate information posted on social media sites has the ability to broadly influence investors and move the market, sometimes drastically, this gentleman poses a serious question for you, our regulators. There is now such a huge hole in our regulatory process because of GameStop, with inexperienced investors relying on unverified information from unqualified social media. Mr. Cook, let me start with you. How can we effectively regulate the impact of new technology, social media sites, as they pertain to inexperienced investors? And also, how do we treat that investment advice that we're getting from unqualified people on social media? And then the real question: who is held accountable when that investment advice leads to market volatility, like we've seen, and massive losses for our investors? I'd like for the three of you, Chair GENSLER, Mr. Cook, Mr. Boston, answer this important question in the three parts that I outlined it for. This is what the American people need answers to from you, regulators. Mr. Cook, why don't you start?
Well, thank you, Congressman, for that question. I think you raised some really profound questions about where technology and other aspects of investor behavior may be going, and how does that fit within the current regulatory regime. When we talk about statements by people on social media and other places, just to be clear, FINRA doesn't regulate that environment, and we would look to the SEC in sort of understanding whether existing authorities around concepts like manipulation or providing investment advice might apply. I do think that what we are also seeing, though, at your point about retail investors making decisions without an intermediary or a financial advisor is an important one. As we see more of that happen, we are seeing a lot of that happen. I think we need to ask whether the existing regime is adequate in that regard.
Let me quickly get to Chair GENSLER. I've worked with him when he was chair of the CFTC. Chair, how do we hold somebody accountable? Answer this for me. As Mr. Cook just said, the SEC, he said, is the one responsible. How do we hold somebody? What do we do about this, Chair GENSLER?
I think you raise a good point. I know, like, probably like me, it's not about somebody's free speech rights on social media, but if somebody is trying to manipulate a market, to defraud the market through social media, and in our rapidly changing technology, it could be computers and not even humans, by the way. It could be computers communicating in. So the SEC is a cop on the beat. We're going to vigorously lean in against individuals and companies to try to assess But we'll have to update our resources too to be able to see that relationships.
My time is coming down. How are you going to solve this? Do you feel that we can, so we don't have any more of this game stuff?
I don't know if the beeping, what Madam Chair I'm supposed to do because the beeping is going.
Thank you. I would expect that you would respond in writing to that question as we move on. And I'm now going to call on the gentleman from